Are your Pokemon investments still a real thing, or has it become an illusion? Let's talk about it right after this. All right, I'm Andy with Northwoods TCG, and today we're going to be going back and taking a look at what are our options in Pokemon investing. Is there still an opportunity, or is it just an illusion of something that we once had in the past 3 years? Today, we're going to kind of break it down both ways. We're going to look at both sides of that story and kind of piece it together to come up with a narrative that may be the most accurate or the most likely direction that we might see. So when it comes down to it, there's a lot of naysayers and there's a lot of people that are very optimistic in this market. And today we're going to really look into that and take a deep dive so you guys can maybe get a direction for where you want to go moving forward here into the rest of 2023. Of course, we've got the holiday season with a lot of different things coming. And when it comes down to Pokemon investing in cards and in sealed products, there's a lot of opportunities that will be coming up here in the near future. So today we're going to go ahead and break into it. And the first one I'm going to talk about, of course, is going to be the optimistic side of it. The optimistic side just continues to think that Pokemon is invulnerable to the outside markets, that it sits in this little bubble and nothing affects it. People continue to spend money, people continue to move forward, and people continue to definitely contribute to the Pokemon TCG and its growth. Now, I think that there is some really good opportunities out there. And I think that in the next 6 months to a year, there's going to be some very rich people that come out of Pokemon still. Getting in the position and being the first to market. Getting in the position and being the first one to predict where that market's going and where it's coming to next. I mean, just like we were 2 years ago predicting tag teams would eventually get hit. And like a lot of us were doing, we're buying tag team singles. And it did. It fell into our laps finally. It took time, but we actually did think that it would get there, and it has. And that prediction has happened for several people, and once again, there's already people that people are in tag teams buying and selling tag teams like crazy, and the prices are going out of control and up in price. But there's a lot of people that are looking at the next thing, and that's exactly what you should be doing in this market currently. If you want to be on that optimistic rich side of the Pokemon TCG in the next year, you're gonna have to do a little bit of more work and try and predict where people are going to go. What's the next big thing that people are going to be chasing? And that's going to give you the best opportunity to be ridiculously rich when it comes down to Pokemon. Now, is there a chance that it go the other way? Of course, you could actually be completely on the wrong side of it. And we'll cover that a little bit more moving forward. Now, the other part of it is there a chance that this is really just a bubble of people who don't care what we spend on Pokemon? It is. It's possible that there's enough people inside of this space and enough people with enough money that it doesn't make a difference what happens on the outside markets, and that this market will continue to move up. Pokemon investments in sealed will continue to increase. Pokemon investments in your cards will continue to go up. If you take a single graded and your Pokemon investment in graded cards could actually see some really good value, and that's always a possibility. We could continue to see that. And once again, there are a lot of people in this hobby that do have money, and they don't really get too affected by the outside markets just because they're specifically just all tied up into this particular market. And that makes it so that a lot of these things will continue to have value and will continue to increase in value, especially the more exclusive and rare that a Pokemon investment or a Pokemon item is. The chances are is that will do better than some of the more mass-produced items or one of the items that you could easily find in any kind of store shelf. Once again, there's always opportunities out there, and there's always a way to make a play, and there always has been. You know, for the last 20 years, there's been a play in Pokemon. It's just a matter of how you can find it, how you can optimize that and be efficient and actually maximize your profit on that particular play. And of course, hope that you're one of the first ones to it, because if you're the first one there, you're going to get the greatest opportunities, which is where a lot of times, if you're one of the guys that can predict where people are going and do a lot of work in predicting on trends on where someone's going next, and you can be in position to be the first one ready for it, that's when you can make the most money. And that's where I think a lot of people in the next year are going to do extremely well, is they're positioned in places where the market is going. And if the market's going there, they're going to already be there. They've already got their positions. They've already stocked up with the market really low on those particular products. People probably thought that it wouldn't happen, and so they were selling these things. So people were buying these particular items and stocking up on that position. And now they're waiting for it to cascade down to them. Now, tag teams are getting expensive and the market's going to start to cool on that. They're going to move somewhere else. And it's just a matter of where that's going to be. And of course, Are you going to be in the position to be able to capitalize on that particular point? So once again, that's the first part of it, is going to be the optimistic side. Yes, it's going to continue to go. And in 10 years down the line, I think most Pokemon products will do extremely well. Of course, I would fortify myself personally in booster boxes and ETBs. I would definitely go for those alternate art singles and those more exclusive singles if you're looking at that 10 years, because personally, I think Pokemon's here to stay for at least 10 to 15 years. I don't see anything externally that's going to knock this market down and knock enough people out of here to where it won't be sustainable for the next 10 to 15 years. But overall, I think that if you're looking at this as a long-term, 10, 15 year Pokemon sealed investment, or a 10 to 15, 20 year Pokemon single investment, then it really doesn't matter right now. This current market and overall over the next 10 years is going to average out and going to be probably a smooth climb all the way up if you start looking at it year by year, or if you start just looking at point A to point B. We're going to see a nice curve going up in that direction. I think you're pretty sound on most of those areas. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at the downside of it, and what are we looking at as a pessimistic view of this particular subject. Now, when it comes down to your Pokemon investments in singles and in sealed products, you're going to run into a problem with the macro economy. The U.S. economy, the world economy, all of these things are starting to show a lot of fracture points. Now, you can even take information such as this article I'll put next to me, which is going to be, of course, the credit card debt in the United States is now almost crossing $1 trillion. This is an astronomical number. It's the highest of all times. Yes, I understand there's a lot more people in the market because of course, there's more population. But overall, this is still very, very scary to see that people are no longer backing down on their lifestyle. So if they're buying Pokemon cards, they're not changing their routine and buying less Pokemon cards. They're probably buying them more on credit card, and credit card debt is continuing to increase and accelerate. What happens though eventually is, and this is what we saw back in 2008, eventually what happens is people run out of money on their credit cards. It's a matter of time. I mean, you see a $1 trillion debt on credit cards right now, and it's very, very hard and difficult to actually pay that off, especially with interest rates now being almost 30% on a lot of credit cards. 24.99% is pretty typical right now in the market. That's the average, but I do know people that have 29.99% interest rates on those credit cards, and some people have 21.99. But overall, the credit card interest rate has gone up significantly from where it was even a year ago. And by doing so, of course, that definitely changes the aspect for how long it takes you to pay off that debt, and how fast that debt can become crippling to you when it comes down to your overall lifestyle. Now, am I saying that this will affect the Pokemon market? Of course. Of course it will. It has to. If people don't have money to spend and they have to decide whether or not they have to buy food, pay for a car repair, go ahead and pay for medical expenses, they're going to have to pay that, which means it takes our pool of people buying Pokemon investments and Pokemon sealed products, and it narrows it down. It starts to collapse it in on itself. So eventually what we're going to see in the Pokemon investment scheme in the next 3 to 5 years is potentially a collapse of the amount of people actually able to purchase. Now, it doesn't mean they don't want to purchase. It just means that they're not able to. But that also means that Pokemon, the amount of supply of Sword and Shield, of Scarlet and Violet, and all these other different products that are floating around right now, that means that supply might become extremely, extremely high for the amount of demand for the particular product. Another item I look at when it comes down to the actual way that Pokemon's going, go check out the queues right now, the open queues on TikTok. So I follow a lot of streamers on TikTok and on Instagram that just do pack openings and pack breaks and all kinds of those fun little, mystery graded cards and those kind of things. And what I am seeing is a ton of queues, queue open, which means nobody's buying. Now, these were streamers that I know personally have been running streams for like 5 hours straight and never stopping. They were just continuously opening packs. And what's happening is now people are not able to purchase those packs. The amount of items that they are able to purchase is starting to slow, which means now pack breakers are getting openings in their queues to where, hey, we don't have anything to sell right now. Nobody's buying anything right now. And so they're talking and they're trying to do some fun games. They're trying to do some things to entice people to purchase. And it's just not happening, which is another sign that the market's slowing down, guys. We're starting to see those little fatigues, and I'm starting to personally become a little bit more bearish towards it now. Am I going to be balking at a good deal? No, absolutely not. If ETBs are at a really good price, of course I'm going to buy them. If booster boxes go down in price, of course I'm going to try and snag them. This is a good time to actually be able to bolster your positions at a really reasonable price. And that's another maybe a good thing to this particular situation for people that are in the investment scheme and have been in it for a long period of time is that this probably might be the first time that we actually will have an opportunity to jump in on some of these products that we've been looking at and continue to get in at the bottom line of these products rather than somewhere in the middle trying to catch them on the way up and then waiting until they go up to a price where we make our percentages that we're looking for. That might be a change that we could see in the Pokemon investment and what's going on with Pokemon sealed products. Same thing with singles. If less products being open, that could mean that singles could do really well, right? If people aren't opening the product because, of course, they're not ordering it, they're not able to sell that single on TCG Player, they're not able to sell that single on eBay, and they're not able to get that single graded. That also means that potentially we could see a spike in singles coming up in the near future for newer sets because of the fact that people aren't opening them. There's a lot of sealed boxes. If a lot of boxes stay sealed, that's a lot less singles circulating in the market. And potentially people that are players or people that are actively involved in the actual playing of the TCG looking for particular cards will have a smaller pool of these cards to purchase. And that's going to be another factor that you can possibly look at when you're looking at the profitability inside of Pokemon investing in the next couple of years. So once again, as a pessimistic side of things, I definitely think that there's going to be some difficulties in Pokemon investing in the next 3 years potentially. I think we're coming out of this stage, and there's going to be opportunities. There's always opportunities. It's just a matter of can you get in position reasonably to where you can afford it, and if you can you get enough of it to make a difference? And the people that have the money and the people that have the insight are going to be positioning on that next item now. A lot of people are already positioning on the next item. I guarantee it that someone's already in position on the next item that everybody's going to fall to. And people are going to make their bets on it, right? We're all going to guess which item is going to be the next one to do really well. And then we're going to place all of our chips on that particular spot. Now, it may hit this time. It may hit the next time, or it may take 3-4 times for movements in this market to actually hit that. But definitely there are people that are positioning in that. And that's where I continue to think that in the next year, we're going to see people that are going to hit it and going to hit the right spots. They're going to be on it. The positioning is going to be right. The opportunities are going to be lining up perfect for them. And there's some people that are going to make a lot of money in Pokemon investment. If you can be that person, you can definitely do extremely well. But if you are not that person, not good at guessing and not understanding how people work and where people might be going, it may be some really big hard times too for those individuals. So once again, there's a kind of that double-edged side. Now, when it comes down to the narrative on where do I think Pokemon investing is going, I personally think that it's going to go somewhere in between. That's just my overall feeling is that I think we're going to continue to see a slowdown in a lot of the different markets in here. I do think that we're going to see a slowdown on booster box sales and ETB sales. I think that we're going to see, some Sword and Shield products probably go up after a reprint, or as they go out of print, we might see a small little bump. But a lot of these products may start to stagnate at whatever price they're at shortly after that point. For example, Silver Tempest, Lost Origins, those kind of sets, I definitely see them pushing up maybe after this next reprint. And once Pokemon Center gets them off the website, we could see them go up to 160, 175, and I could see them all stagnating at that point in time for many years. And that's going to be a factor when it comes down to it is how many years is it going to stagnate, and is it worth jumping in to potentially have it stagnate for 3 to 5 years, or is it just time to look for something else, time to be moving into another item? So overall, I think we're going to find kind of a middle ground. I think we're going to see a lot of exodus of people. I've got people already that are saying they want to sell out of stuff. I have an individual that I store stuff from that's not from this country, and he wants to liquidate all of his stuff. So we're going to be doing some openings on this channel. I'm also going to be putting up some things for sale for him, trying to move this stuff out. We said have some fun. We'll do some box breaks. We'll have some fun on the channel with that. I'm definitely going to put that up in the link. So if you're interested in a good old box break, definitely check that out. Just have fun, relax, and we'll go through that route with it. But overall, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be an interesting time for the next year. Some people are going to make a lot of money. Some people are going to end up losing a lot of money. And it's just going to be dependent on where you are in your positioning, or you'll tie up a lot of money for a long period of time waiting for that opportunity to finally hit your door, whichever door you pick. So once again, there's going to be some interesting things happening in the next market. If you are in the investment section and you're just looking for the long term, like I said, this video isn't going to be as pertinent to you, because do I think in 10 years the Sword and Shield booster box is going to potentially double, triple, quadruple in price from where you purchased it today? Yeah, I think that there's probably some really good opportunities and possibilities on that, especially on some of the hotter sets like Brilliant Stars, of course. You can look at that. Evolving Skies, of course, I don't see anything slowing that one down But in general, I think we're going to be definitely seeing some reduction in sales. The amount of sales that are going through are definitely going to reduce, in my opinion. And it's going to be kind of interesting to see how much overall that's going to affect the market and the pricing on these things. Things like Shining Fates ETBs now, it may take them a long period of time, 3 to 5 years, for us to really see some traction that gives them some value. And once again, if you're looking 5 years plus, you're probably just fine. They'll have value eventually. But if you're looking at it even as a 3-year, or if you do like I have been doing for the last few years, where you buy it with a scapegoat that, hey, it's going to gain 10 to 20% here, and then I can sit on it and I'll have the value in it to where if I need to liquidate it, I can. The liquidation factor of this is going to become more difficult too as money gets short. So always remember that as the market gets tighter, we see credit card debt continuing to go up. We see rent going up by 15%, and then wages have only in the last 2 years have only been compensated by 5%, with inflation going close to 16%. That means that people's wages have not anywhere near kept up with what there is. Yes, we've had a great spike in income increases this year so far, but that doesn't mean it made up for last year when we were having 12 to 13% interest or inflation increases month over month for the whole year. That does not increase. The last 2 years is where you got to look. The last 3 years on increases, and it has not kept up with inflation. So that's going to be definitely a factor, because people are living on credit cards to sustain a lifestyle. And if that continues to happen, they max out those credit cards, they drop out of everything because they have no more money to give. They got nothing left to be able to give as extra money to put into the hobby. So overall, guys, I don't want to be too pessimistic, but I definitely think that there's some great opportunities, and you're going to have to work for it and get in position in those. Overall, I think the long-term Pokemon investing in your sealed and in your singles has got some great opportunities futuristically. Pokemon's not going anywhere. It's just going to be a little bit slower. I think you're going to see a lot more slower moving opportunities, slower moving product, less sales, reduction in sales, and that's going to be a big factor when it comes down to the overall performance in the next 3 years, 3 to 5 years. If we go into a recession or a depression, it may be 3 to 7 years or before we actually see a substantial gain in any kind of sales in the collectibles market. Not just here, sports cards, Yu-Gi-Oh, all of them will be affected by that fact. And it'll be interesting to see how all of them kind of lay out when it comes down to it. So other than that, guys, hopefully some good information. Once again, good talk. I'm apologizing last week I didn't get 2 videos out. Just crazy with other things going on right now in the farming industry. Of course, farming's getting busy because we're getting ready for harvest. So once again, we're back on track here. I'm hoping to stay on track all of this week, and then we'll be seeing where we go the following week as we get closer to chopping season. Of course, chopping's coming up, so that's going to be a big factor for my time frames on getting things done. So other than that, guys, hopefully some good information. If you do like this kind of information, as always, check out the 2 videos I'm going to put at the end, and we'll see you next time here on Northwoods TCG.